Under the silver glow of the full moon, the kingdom lay in uneasy silence. The air, crisp with the scent of blooming night jasmine, carried an ominous stillness. Within the grand halls of the palace, where banners of loyalty once flew high, whispers of treachery slithered like venomous serpents. King Darian and Queen Elara, bound by love stronger than steel, stood unaware that the blades of betrayal loomed ever closer. The celebration that night had been for them, a feast to honor their union and the victories they had brought to the realm. The hall was alive with the clinking of goblets and the laughter of noble allies. Yet, amid the revelry, shadowed figures moved with purpose, their intentions hidden beneath cloaks of false allegiance. It was in the final moments of the feast, as Darian and Elara exchanged a look of quiet devotion, that the betrayal struck. Swords, once sworn to their service, gleamed under the flickering light of the chandeliers as they were drawn against their rightful king and queen. Darian's trusted general, Lucian, emerged from the crowd, his blade dripping with malice. "The throne must fall," he declared, his voice cold and resolute. Elara's gasp of shock pierced through the chaos as Darian shielded her with his own body, their bond unbroken, even in the face of treason. The clash of steel and the cries of loyal guards filled the air, but it was too late. The lovers fought valiantly, but betrayal had come from too many sides. As the final blow descended, the moon seemed to mourn, its light dimmed by the shadows of treachery. Yet, even as their blood stained the ground, Darian and Elara's eyes met one last time. In that fleeting moment, a vow was made, a promise that not even death could sever. Betrayed, but not defeated, their love would rise again, fueled by vengeance and bound by eternal blades. Lucian had been more than a general to King Darian and Queen Elara. He was their most trusted confidant, the man who had stood by their side in countless battles. He had pledged his loyalty to their cause, his blade a symbol of unyielding devotion. Yet, in the shadows of ambition, that blade turned against them, striking at the very heart of the kingdom he had sworn to protect. The betrayal was not born of a single moment, but of a festering jealousy that had grown over years. Lucian believed himself overlooked, his contributions diminished in the shadow of Darian's rule. Whispers of power and promises of glory had poisoned his mind, planted by those who sought to tear the realm apart. They fed his insecurities, twisting his honor into a weapon of treachery. On the fateful night of the celebration, Lucian's blade struck without hesitation. The trust that had bound him to Darian and Elara was shattered in a single merciless motion. As the steel found its mark, the betrayal ran deeper than any wound. It was not just a throne he sought to claim, but the destruction of a bond that had once been unbreakable. Darian, though wounded, locked eyes with Lucian, his gaze not of anger, but of profound sorrow. "Why?" the king asked, his voice steady despite the blood staining his tunic. But Lucian offered no answer, only silence as he stepped further into darkness. This act of treachery did not just take lives, it fractured the very foundation of the kingdom. The blade that broke the trust of Darian and Elara also set in motion a chain of events that would awaken a force more powerful than Lucian could ever imagine. Betrayal had carved its mark, but revenge, bound by eternal love, had already begun to stir. Even as the life drained from their bodies, a bond unbroken by death lingered between King Darian and Queen Elara. Their final breath was a whispered promise, not of peace, but of vengeance. The throne may have been stolen, their bodies laid to rest, but their love transcended the mortal realm. Fueled by the agony of betrayal, it forged a pact that would echo across time and darkness. In the shadowed corners of the world, the pact took form. Darian and Elara's spirits, bound by the intensity of their shared sorrow and fury, began to gather strength. Neither heaven nor hell could claim them fully. They existed in the space between, a realm where love and vengeance fused into a force neither life nor death could extinguish. Their vengeance was not a fleeting desire for justice. It was an eternal oath. With their souls entwined in the flames of anger and love, Darian and Ilara summoned the power of shadows, forging weapons born of their spirits and the suffering they had endured. These weapons would serve as extensions of their will, blades not of steel but of pure vengeance, driven by a love that could not be severed. As their pact rippled through the realms, the world above began to feel the stirrings of something ancient and unyielding. The kingdom that had once stood proudly in their name began to crumble under the weight of their spirit's wrath. Betrayal had opened the door for their vengeance, but it was their love, an unbreakable bond, that would guide their eternal quest for retribution. Through darkness and death, the lovers' pact remained. They were no longer kings and queens of a mortal kingdom. They were vengeful souls bound by an unrelenting love, determined to bring justice to those who had betrayed them. Even in the depths of the afterlife, their pact would never be broken, for vengeance had become their very essence. The kingdom of Darian and Ilara had long forgotten the true power of their rulers. Once adored, their names now faded into whispers of a distant past, their deeds tarnished by the betrayal that ended their reign. But in the darkness, beneath the dust of time, their spirits had never truly left. The shadows that had once served them, loyal and unwavering, had never ceased to watch, never ceased to remember. And now those shadows stirred, awakened by the fury of an undying vengeance. The people of the kingdom felt an eerie chill in the air, a presence they couldn't explain. Murmurs of sightings, strange occurrences, and whispers in the dark filled the streets. There was something more, something watching, something waiting. From the depths of the forgotten, Darian and Ilara's fury manifested. Their love, unbroken even by death, had transformed into a relentless force, an unyielding storm of wrath and justice. The land that had betrayed them began to tremble, as if the earth itself remembered their anger, and the wind howled their names. Lucian, once a trusted friend, now found himself haunted by visions of the lover's return. He could no longer sleep without hearing the whispers of his betrayal. The shadows followed him everywhere, and no matter where he hid, the vengeance of Darian and Ilara seemed to find him. The kingdom, once unaware, now stood on the precipice of a reckoning. The fury of the Undying was not to be forgotten. It was only waiting for the right moment to rise again. And when it did, it would leave nothing untouched. The betrayal had left deep scars, not just on the bodies of Darian and Ilara, but on the very fabric of the kingdom they had built. Altheria was torn, its people divided between loyalty to the fallen rulers and the corrupted reign of Lucian. The cost of treason was far greater than the lives lost. It was the fracture of trust, the betrayal of a kingdom's soul. As justice stirred in the shadows, the weight of what had been done grew unbearable. The echoes of the past demanded retribution, and no one would escape the consequences of their choices. Lucian's rule began to unravel, for the kingdom could not long endure the agony of a throne built on lies. Vengeance, once a whisper in the darkness, now took form, and the cost of justice would be paid in full. The kingdom would never be the same, but perhaps in the ashes of its destruction, it could rebuild, guided by the unbreakable weight of loyalty, love, and the revenge of its eternal rulers. The throne room, once a symbol of unity, now became the stage for vengeance. Shadows twisted and writhed as Darian and Ilara's ethereal forms emerged, wielding the blades forged from their love and fury. Their presence was both beautiful and terrifying, a perfect harmony of grace and destruction. Lucian stood frozen, his confidence eroded by the haunting figures before him. The lovers moved as one, their steps a deadly dance of steel and shadows. Each strike of their blades echoed through the halls, cutting through the betrayers who had sullied their kingdom. Their vengeance was swift, precise, and unrelenting, their movements as fluid as the bond that had united them in life. The conspirators who had once believed their treachery was unassailable fell one by one. The shadows seemed to aid the lovers, extending their reach and cloaking them in an otherworldly power. Lucian, for all his cunning, found himself overpowered, not by force alone, but by the crushing weight of the justice they carried. The dance of vengeance was not chaotic, but deliberate, every motion imbued with purpose. Darian and Alara fought not just for revenge, but for the soul of the kingdom they had sworn to protect. The throne room, drenched in treachery, now bore witness to their unyielding justice. Their revenge was unleashed, and the kingdom would never forget the haunting beauty of their dance. With a final, decisive blow, the shadows claimed Lucian. The blades, forged from love and vengeance, found their mark, delivering justice from the depths of betrayal. The throne, stained with treachery, now stood purified. Darian and Alara's promise was fulfilled, their vengeance complete, their love eternal. Though their forms faded, the kingdom would never forget Darian and Alara. The blades, symbols of their unyielding love and justice, remained in the throne room, a reminder of their legacy. The lovers became legends, eternal guardians of Altheria, their story whispered in awe and reverence through generations. The kingdom rose anew, cleansed by the lovers' sacrifice and vengeance. Justice reigned where shadows once lingered, and Altheria flourished under their eternal watch. The tale of Darion and Ilera became a beacon of hope and a warning against treachery, proof that love and justice could triumph even in darkness.